I get sit out here to do this. So I'm going to tell you a true story. Since we're in Idaho, it's about potatoes. And it's a true FBI story. For those people who don't know, I spent 20 years at the FBI, and this is a real case. And yeah, if I tell you, I have to kill you. Now, this lady is probably not out of jail yet, and you'll know why after I tell you the story. I was in hazmat, which is hazardous materials. I was certified in California, and I was also a member of the evidence response team, even though I did digital evidence because they needed somebody to sometimes go out and get computers in places that weren't sanitary, let's call that. So I got called about this case, and we went up to Pendleton, or I think Art's been there, and this lady had been picked up in Eastern California, and here's the story. Her husband went on an aircraft carrier, and that's usually a 6-month tour. And while he was gone, they had a little boy, but while he was gone, she decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. And so she hooked up with another woman, and this gal moved in, I guess, into her house, and then her husband came home. And of course that presented a problem, and so she started doing some research on the internet. And she researched 2 things. One was castor beans, which grow wild in California, and they're okay as long as you don't synthesize them into ricin, which if you do it right, you can be dead really fast. She's still alive, so the story is she didn't do it right. So her husband comes home, and she decides she's going to poison him with ricin, and so she proceeds to go out into the fields and get some castor beans, and of course looks up on the internet. And because I'm the one who examined her computer, I'm the one that found all this great stuff. So she decided she was going to make this in her kitchen. Good place, right? Because you cook it, and then you're supposed to, you're supposed to have like a vent hood and a few things, because if it gets toxic, you can die really fast. Well, I don't think she followed the directions too well, because after she had it in her oven and she cooked it, and then she took it out, and it wasn't powder, it was this sticky stuff. So she decided she needed to know how toxic it was, so she ate some of it. And she didn't die, so obviously it wasn't toxic enough. So, it was getting where, she and her girlfriend really wanted to get out of town, and so she decided she needed to have a backup method. So she went on the internet again, and her husband had this really old revolver. And so she decided she was going to shoot him. But because she didn't want it to make a lot of noise, she decided she needed a silencer. And she didn't have a lot of money, so she went on the internet and she found out that you can make a silencer out of a potato. You really can. And it's you can look this up on the internet if you want to. So she looked it up, and she decided this is what she was going to do. So Sunday morning, he's watching football on the couch and kind of falling asleep, and so she puts this potato on the end of this revolver, and she aims it at his head about 6 feet away, and she pulls the trigger. And the potato explodes, and the bullet veers off to the right, misses him, and lodges in the wall, which wakes him up. And he looks around at her, so she runs out of the house with her little boy and gets in her car. Well, the reason the potato silencer didn't work was because one of the things you need to do, which is a little bit critical, is you need to actually put a hole in the potato all the way through for the bullet to go through. Well, she forgot to do that. And so, obviously the potato exploded, which caused the bullet to go someplace else. So, being the bright person she was, she then she got in her car and took the ricin with her. And just in case, and picked up her girlfriend, and they went off to El Centro and then over to Yuma. And so they're in Yuma, and they decided that they were going to go shopping. So they did. They went shopping, and then they decided to do a little bit of shoplifting. And so they went into the women's clothes, and they were wearing all these layers of clothes like I am. And they had like 3 or 4 shirts on. And then them all closed, and so they spent the night there, and then they, early in the morning, got in their car. They're driving back to California, and they have a taillight out, and a CHP, California Highway Patrol, picks them up. And he goes up to the window, and he's talking to her and asks her for a license, and she gives it to him. And he noticed all these tags sticking out of the back of her, on her neck. And he says, well, what's up with that? And she said, well, we were in Yuma, and so we went shoplifting. So he says, okay, well, that seems to be a problem. And he says, well, what else? And she says, well, I have ricin in the back seat with her son. He's going, ricin in the back seat? Yeah, I have ricin in the back seat. So he calls Hazmat in El Centro, and he kind of screwed up. He should have vacated the car, vacated the ricin, and taken the woman. Well, he puts the ricin in his car with the woman, takes it to El Centro. At any rate, so her husband is still alive. She's in jail. We eventually went up to Pendleton with 3 hazmat teams, one from San Diego County, one from Camp Pendleton, and one from the state of California, and went in with suits and pulled out the hard drive out of the computer, and you have to double wrap it. This is kind of funny because, if there was actually any rice and fumes in there, one, they would have all been dead, but the other was, of course, even though you would put it in a plastic bag and then you put it in another plastic bag after you decontaminated the outside of the first plastic bag, as soon as I took them out of the plastic bags, the last plastic bag, it was contaminated. I still would have been touching a hard drive. That would have been contaminated. At any rate, because you don't wash hard drives, obviously, because of electrical problems. But that is a true story, and she did get a few years in prison. And being as smart as she is, I'm sure she's still there.